You're watching The Breakdown with the Fight Analyst, Garrett Kerman.
And welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown. I'm your host, the Fight Analyst, Garrett Kerman. And with me is my co-host, as always, for breaking down these fights, my man, Colin Crandall, the MMA professor, one half of the MMA Power Hour. What's up, man? How's it going?
All great, brother. All great, man. I am happy to see you, brother, because I know we can say reports of your death were greatly exaggerated. I know that some people were saying that they heard you died, and then the next thing people saw you working as a bouncer in a club in Boston, and you had a thick Boston accent. And I'm like, man, this is bizarre. And then someone said a shapeshifter had taken over your body, but I know that it wouldn't be the case because shapeshifters hate wearing headphones like the ones you're wearing now. You know, we know that. So I'm happy to see that you're still here, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Our man Michael Cook is in the building. GK and T Kennedy.
That's
Tim
it, Kennedy. I love it. Thank you, Michael. Good to see you.
Oh man, lots to talk about. There's a lot that's gone on since we've been on the air. A ton. Kevin Lee got released. Felicia Spencer retired. I mean, there's so much going on in the last few weeks. But what kind of surprised you the most out of everything that's gone on?
Well, it's been a crazy couple of weeks for me. The Felicia Spencer, I heard. There may be a couple other ones that I haven't, but let me address that, and then you can tell me the other ones so I can make sure that I've heard of them. I like Felicia a lot. We had her on the show 4 times. She's a stepmom of 1 or 2 kids and raising them. So she's a mom, and she was a math teacher, and I think she kept her job. Maybe not. Maybe she got rid of it toward the end, but just a super, super nice girl, really gritty, really strong. I mean, the bottom line is, even though her game plan didn't work out in that fight against Amanda Nunes, talk about a tough girl just biting down on her mouthpiece and taking that beating. Amanda mostly gets girls out of there, and usually and frequently quickly. Right. And Felicia Spencer was like, "Nah, I'm not going anywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you hit me with." So she, you know what I mean? She's just, has a legacy of a great career. At 31 years old, I think, I don't know if you give out age, but that's a familiar age to you, being the exact same age as Felicia Spencer. It makes you wonder if she was able to make bantamweight, would she leave? I mean, as of right now, they're looking at, who are you looking at? You're looking at Norma Dumont, who got a decision over her and then beat the brakes off of Aspen Ladd, is next. They released Megan Anderson. Jermaine Durrani can fight at 45, but there's virtually nobody there.
No, she'd be basically training for a whole year to possibly get 1 or 2 fights a year.
Right, exactly. And so it makes sense. Now, she could always come back if somehow they make 45 blow up, if Kayla Harrison shows up and a bunch of big girls come out there because they see Kayla in there and they see Amanda, she's young enough to come back. We saw Miesha Tate do that, although Miesha lost this fight. Although, you know what? It was a close fight. It's so weird how people look at life so much as black and white instead of shades of gray. I mean, a lot of people are haters anyway, but for all these articles to say, well, Miesha lost and she blew it, then what did she do now? Blah, blah, blah. She sucks. I mean, that fight was close. That was a really close fight. She got
beat up pretty bad, though. That's the thing.
Face look. She took some damage. She did take some damage, but points wise, it was a close fight.
No. She fought like vintage Tate, though. You know what I mean? She looked like her former self. She's still the same type of fighter. Maybe not as quick, not as strong, but she's still pretty much close to it.
Yeah, which is good. And so the bottom line is, for anyone to say, well, she sucks now, that's ridiculous. The bottom line is, Vieira was always tough. She had a couple bad matchups, so Felicia Spencer could be back, and maybe she will. But, I think she'll be a great coach. And, someone like her, I think, could be a really good coach for women fighters that women could really respect because she was in there.
And commentary, too.
Yeah, yes. I think she'd be great in commentary. I'm trying to picture her in a nice cute business suit, and I think I can see it. I think I can see it.
I think we all can.
She's a good Floridian, and originally from Canada.
Yep, that's true.
Nice,
that's true.
Yeah, nice girl. In fact, the other Canadian Floridian is fighting coming up in a week or so, Jillian Robertson. So that's going to be cool.
That's true.
And what are the other big things? Oh yeah, Islam and Beneil, Dariush, and I spoke with Beneil. Yeah, I spoke with him briefly, personally. Interviews are, right now are for the high contenders from Dominance Management are only with ESPN or maybe Joe Rogan. But, I had Beneil on the show, I think 6 times between 2018 and early 2020. And he's a really, really good guy. I'm really excited to see that fight, man. In all honesty, that's a scary fight for Islam. Yeah, I do. The odds makers have. Well, I tell you what, the odds. There's only one book that has it up, and they have it 3-1 Islam.
Yeah, that's what I cap him at about -350, -375 for Islam.
Yeah, and they don't even have it that high. But the bottom line is, no, I feel Beneil is absolutely a threat in that fight. I think
he's not going to go in there and make him look like Dan Hooker. No. I just think Islam wins. Right. That's pretty much the gist of what I think. I think Darius is going to put up a good fight, though.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'm going to pick Darius to win, though. I like, obviously I like him, but I believe in him. I think, just real quick, and then we're going to go on to break it down, so we're not here for hours. But if you look at the fact that Justin Gaethje and Beneil are friends, they've trained together for years. When Gaethje fought Habib, the big problem was him not having a really good ground game, especially on his back, right? Beneil is a black belt. You saw that 6 submission off his back over Drew Dober. I mean, the guy is a good black belt. So in reality, a lot of the skills that people attributed to Tony Ferguson back in the day, when they were looking at the Ferguson versus Habib matchup, I think Beneil has. And I'm not saying he's exactly like a prime Tony Ferguson, but I think his jiu-jitsu was as good, if not better. I think he may have not been as weird and unorthodox, but he's a more powerful striker. He's super confident, 32 years old. He's still in his prime. I think that's a really good fight. But what are the other exciting things that you wanted to touch on really quick, or was there anything other?
I pretty much just the surprising, releases of Kevin Lee and Impa Kasanganay.
Gotcha. So Impa, those are signs that they've just overhired.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. That's exactly what happened there.
They have way too many guys and girls, and it's unfortunate, and it sucks because they're doing 3 events a month, and they're still not doing justice to half of their roster that only gets 1 fight a year. It's really, what's the answer though? I mean, can they do 4 events a month? They can't really do.
They normally do 4 events a month.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll say
every week.
3.5. I'll say 3.5. I'm going to say because but could they do 4.5 events a month? I mean, I don't know.
That's where Contender Series comes into play.
That's true.
The Ultimate Fighter, but.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's why, because Kevin Lee is a really good fighter. Impa's a good fighter. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but essentially, though, I think that's sending an even stronger message to the fighters, which is you gotta win.
Yeah,
you gotta win.
I mean, not just win though. You also have to be impressive with it. Actually, no, that's not even true. Okay, if we even go down the line, if we're talking about you gotta win, you gotta be impressive. Then why are a lot of these fighters on 4, 5, 6 fight losing streaks are still in the UFC?
Yeah, there's exceptions. I think if you're with a good team,
Sam Alvey's an exception. I don't know about that.
If all the fights are close, I don't know. It may be more important to barely lose.
I know, but he's been getting dominated in majority of his fights.
I don't know. There's also good faith that someone's fought in your organization for years. I kind of like that, right? Because imagine if you are one of the great MMA handicappers, right? But fast forward 40 years from now, And imagine you're on a channel and you've been making money for years. You've been one of the faces for the company. You're one of the well-known handicappers. Now you're 71 years old. You don't look so good. Once in a while, you're forgetting the name of the fighter. Once in a while, you're forgetting if you even mentioned your pick for a fight. But you've served the company for so many years that they don't want to say, all right, Garrett, you get out of here, because you know what I mean? You were loyal. So I kind of like that. I think it's like an old school concept, but I think I think people like to think that, hey, I've done something for your company for all these years. Can't you show me some loyalty if times are bad for me, you know, like that. So I think maybe Dana or Mick or Sean look at it like that. Like Sam Elvey helped them on so many cards, coming to scrap. He was always there. He was always smiling. He always had his 6 foot tall model girlfriend with him walking in his corner. And they probably figured, this is a good guy. We like this guy. This guy's helped the UFC, you know. So, and I like him too. He's a good dude. Anyway.
No, I do too. I'm just talking about like,
yeah, just in general.
Yeah, right, the circumstances of what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is 2 guys that were promising,
right?
Very young, and they're very still young. Kevin Lee's only 30 years old. I mean, he's still in his prime. I don't know. It is what it is. I expect him to come back stronger, better than ever, and you know, making a shit ton more money.
Yeah, I think so. I think very much so. So that'll be good. Detroit, always loved the Detroit phenom. I think wasn't that his, what was
the Motown
phenom.
Yeah. All right, we got a great fight card this weekend. 15 fights on tap. What a great fight card to come back to after a week hiatus. Actually, 14 fights. It's headlined by Rob Font and Jose Aldo. What a fight in 135 pounds. Then we got an insane co-main event. Rafael Fiziev and Brad Riddell.
Yes.
Training partners. Riddell was his striking coach for the longest time. Looking forward to that. Then you got Jimmy Crute, Jamal Hill, Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis. I mean, the list goes on. And we're here to break it down for you guys and make you some money. So let's get right down to it. First fight up on the prelims is a fight in the bantamweight division between Luis Smolka and Vince Morales. Right now, Smolka is a minus 155 favorite in the comeback. Morales is a plus 135 underdog. What do you got in this one?
I personally like Luis Smolka. I've had him on the show twice. The Last Samurai is a really, really good dude. He was in the car this past Tuesday night when I interviewed Coach Colin Oyama, and
big fan of Colin Oyama. Big fan.
He's great. Colin Oyama rocks. I've had him on the show also about 4 times over the last 3 years or 4 years. Really always appreciate him a lot coming on. So Luis Smolka has been matched really tough. UFC matchmakers have done him no favors. He got into the UFC in 2018. I'm going to change my glasses really quick here.
No worries.
Yeah, I have my driving glasses on, which don't work too well when I'm trying to see the damn screen. Hey, this is awesome. I'm alive again. My eyes are. Okay, so he got into the UFC in 2018. Actually, no, he's had 2 runs. That's right. He was in and then he was out. So in the early days, look at this: Brandon Moreno, they put him against Ray Borg, Tim Elliott, Matias Nicolau. I mean, they weren't doing him any favors. And then he was out.
That was at 125 too.
Yeah, exactly. And then they brought him back. He got subbed by Matt Schnell. He beat Ryan McDonald. He got subbed by Casey Kelly. These are still killers. Casey Kenny, in my opinion, is on a streak. Casey Kenny, in my opinion, did not lose to Dominic Cruz or Song Yadong. Even though I think the Yadong fight was really a robbery that I think he won. But anyway, the bottom line is Smolka is an experienced dude, 17-7, only because he's fought so many killers. He's training. He's working hard. He's just 30 years old. And he's a really, really good fighter, and I think he's just coming into his own. Vince Morales is a tough dude. We know Smolka is at 5'9", 135, is a tall bantamweight. Morales did have a couple of slip-ups against Benito Lopez and Gritzmacher. Came back and beat Draco Rodriguez in a very, very close and tough fight. He's 31 years old out of Syndicate. This is a good fight with two good schools. I believe in Louis Smolka, though. I think this is Smolka's fight. I think it's going to be competitive, but I like Smolka in this fight. As far as any props, I just would have no idea what prop to recommend in this one. But I think a straight bet. I think there's value in Louis Smolka. I got him.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of bias here because I'm a fan of Vince Morales. I'm actually a fan of both these fighters. I've interviewed Vince Morales, but I think he has the better stand-up between the two. I think he's the more polished boxer and striker. Smolka does throw more variety of strikes with his kicks, but I think the forward pressure and the boxing of Morales could be the difference maker here. I do believe Smolka is the better grappler. I just don't think he'll be able to get it to the mat. He's only averaging 1.84 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's only successful on 37% of those takedowns. So normally, if he's getting to the mat, it's his opponent that's initiating it. I know he got 3 takedowns in his last fight against Jose Quinones, but Quinones doesn't have great takedown defense. Vince Morales actually has not great takedown defense either. He actually got taken down 3 times by Draco Rodriguez, but he was able to at least get back up in that fight. And did he get really? He didn't even get controlled. He got taken down 3 times. Draco only had 1 minute and 14 seconds of control time, so you know that he's got a good get-up game. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I just think he'll be able to, keep this fight standing, and and just be able to outwork him on the feet. He went in there. He went 15 minutes with Song Yadong, and he actually went pretty much punch for punch for him. He outvolumed Yadong on the feet. He outvolumed him 201 to 172. Yadong only landed 5 more strikes than him, 79 to 74. I mean, if he could do that with a guy as powerful as Yadong, I think he could take anything that Smolka throws at him. It basically just comes down to takedown defense and staying off the mat, where I do think Smolka probably does have the advantage here. And the thing is, I was listening to some interviews with Smolka, and Smolka does not like the fact that Morales is going to be very familiar with his fighting style and very familiar of what he does, because his cousin is Ricky Simone, who trains over at Team Oyama with Louis Smolka. So that's another thing to keep in mind when looking at this fight. And I'm getting plus money. I'm getting dog money on Vince Morales, plus 130. I think, it's pretty good. I think it's a 50-50 fight. And I'll take dog money on a 50-50. I'm going to root for my boy, Vince, so hopefully he gets it done for me.
There we go. Whereas I'm picking the side that says Louis Smolka. But
All right, moving on. Our next fight is in the lightweight division between Claudio Puelles and Chris Grutzmacher. Right now, Puelles is a minus 125 favorite, and the comeback of Grutzmacher is a plus 105 underdog. What do you got?
So Grits came back and impressed after looking like he was kind of almost out of a job.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. He's got one of those big Tito Ortiz and Chris Lieben heads. And he's a gritty guy. Grits, his nickname is perfect for him because he looks like Grits. Kind of something that, is not glamorous, but it's on your plate. And if you're from the South or you grew up with it, you'll eat it and it'll fill you up a little bit. And so he's like Grits. Now, let me look at El Nino, the kid or the hurricane or, Puelles. He lost his first fight to Martin Bravo, and then since then has been on a 3-fight winning streak. Felipe Silva by sub, Marcos Mariano, and the Monkey King, Jordan Levitt, who he looked very impressive against. 5'11", 155 out of Sanford MMA, 25 years old only. Don't like cheering. I don't like picking guys that are under 26 years old. Sanford MMA, great school out of Molina, Peru. Maybe he's got the Peruvian necktie submission in his repertoire. Anyway, 10-2. And let's take a look back at Grits. Grits got to be 10 years older than him. Yeah, 10 years older at 35, 15-4 out of Two Knuckles Sports MMA Academy, according to Sherdog, which is probably not where he trains, of course. What does Tapology say? Anywhere for Grits? I don't think Grits is a gym.
It says America Top Team, but I don't know. That can't be true.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think so. But you never know. Anyway, 5'8", 155, so he's giving away 3 inches in height. Let's examine Grits here a little bit real quick. He was on a killer winning streak, which got him to the Ultimate Fighter, and then he did win his first UFC fight against Abner Loveras.
Not in the UFC.
But right, definitely not in the UFC anymore. He did lose. He got subbed by Ches Skelly, who's a legit tough guy. He got subbed by Davi Ramos, who was a legit tough guy, especially 4 years ago. He came in and stopped Joe Lozon. He did get stopped by Alexander Hernandez, who's a tough dude. And then he did beat Rafa Garcia. I mean, this is important win here for Grits at his age. The other guy's a lot younger. I mean, let's see the odds. You mentioned the odds maker. The odds. It was really close. Man.
Yeah, and Puerlas was actually an underdog to start the week at plus 100. So a lot of money is coming in on him.
Yeah, Puerlas. Yeah, I mean, Grits is just not a glamorous pick. This fight is a strange one. Let's take a look at recency. Grits had that fight July 31st, and Puelas had his fight June 5th. I'd say probably Puelas, but in reality, I can't find. I think the odds makers have this right, being really close. I really can't find an advantage anywhere. I can't find value anywhere. I mean, Puelas should win on paper, but Grits is a rugged, durable guy. I mean, one thing I might recommend is maybe live bet it. And my tip on that would be if Puelas starts out good, but it's kind of close and you can get some money on Grits, go for Grits. But if Grits right away starts dominating, then I probably would dump it. So I'm looking to fade Puelas a little bit. I don't know why, but in all honesty, I can't on this one. I really have no. This is what do we call it to kind of imitate that other guy out there? Caramel corn and Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
This is the caramel corn and Mountain Dew fight instead of betting. In my thoughts, I don't want to. Sorry to chicken out on this, but just in case, I'm not going to give you guys any advice on a bet that I don't think there's an opening and that there's a clear winner. But I should, and I think the fight presser for Fight Analyst can find a winner here. So let's go on. Garrett, what do you think on this one?
I kind of like Puelas in this fight, and it stays true to my strategy. I have to fade Chris Gritzmacher. He's not UFC caliber, even against Rafa Garcia. In that fight, he didn't even look good. I know Rafa just made him look good. Rafa just tired after about half a round in the first round. He gave it all, and then he was just absolutely gassed. He was still getting taken down by a guy that couldn't even breathe, in the third round.
Yeah.
And now he's going to get a young buck in Puelas, who looked really good in his last fight. I know he hasn't been very active, about one fight a year, but he's still on a 3-fight win streak. 25 years old. He's now training at Stanford, and look what he's been doing. He's got 10 takedowns in his last 3 fights. What is Gritzmacher bad at? Defending takedowns. He's been subbed in 3 of his 5 losses. So that's 60% of his losses have been by submission. And, majority of, Puelas' wins, I think about 4 or 5 of them are by submission. He's going to want to take this to the mat, and I do think he's going to be successful in taking it to the mat. It just whether or not he's able – I'm hoping he's going to be able to keep it there, and his cardio is fine, towards round 3, because what grits does have. He's got grits and he's got great cardio. So, it boils down to Puelles, whether he's able to get it out of there early, and get the submission. But I do think he's going to have success in the takedowns. He's got 8 takedowns in the last 2 fights. So I do believe he's going to go for a ton of takedowns, and I do think he's going to be successful. You're talking about a guy that's landing 3.35 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's successful on 47% of those. So almost 50%. He's being able to be successful on his takedowns. So that's very impressive against a guy that's only defending 60% of his takedowns defended. So I'm going to take Puelles here. I think we're getting a good line, minus 125. I got it a little bit earlier at minus 110, I believe. But, it's still a good line, even though we kind of missed the boat on a plus 100. All right. Next up, we got a fight in the. Give me 1 second. I'm loading. Okay. I'm not loading. Hold on. Give me a second. No, 1 sec. Okay. Here we are. Next up, we got a fight in the light heavyweight division. I'm surprised this is on the prelims, so low on the prelims. Yeah. A fight between Alonzo Menifield and William Knight. Wow, what a fight. Right now, Menifield is a minus 150 favorite, and the comeback on Knight, it's a plus 130 underdog. Who you got?
This fight had been scheduled at least one time before, maybe even twice. Yeah. So Menifield, after his 2 hiccups against Devin Clark and OSP, has come back and had a really good year this year. 2-0 against Fabio Chirant and Ed Short-Fuse Herman. And so he's 11-2, 34 years old. So I remember he did get a little bit of a late start in his career. 34 years old, 6 feet even, which is short for a light heavyweight, and 205 at 11-2, fighting out of Fortis MMA. William Knight is, I think, even shorter than that. Yep, 5'10". Light heavyweight. He's a tank. Fighting out of Thornton Martial Arts, according to UFC, according to Sherdog, which is probably not correct. But he's 33 years old, fighting out of Hartford, Connecticut. So you got Connecticut against Texas. William Knight also beat Chirant. That's so interesting. They both had the same last opponent, right?
And both in the first round, too.
Right. And this wasn't the last opponent for Menifield. He actually also beat Herman. So who fought Chirant first? You could say that,
I think Menifield did.
Menifield did. So you could say Menifield may have warmed up Chirant for.
All I'm gonna say about Chirant, that dude is tough as nails because this man would not. This man does not take easy fights. He's got another extremely hard fight ahead of him. Some people come in, they're like, okay, I just want to get a fight here or there. This dude is facing straight killers, and I give the man all the props in the world for doing it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say thank you, Justin, for tuning in and watching us. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. So this is a close fight. I think there's some value on the dog, William Knight, and I think that this is a close fight. It's an important fight for both guys, but I'm gonna go the dog. I'm gonna go William Knight. I think that he did have a lackluster performance against Dao and Young, but as we know now, Young is a beast.
Yes.
Young is on a killing streak, and so I'm going William Knight here. I think that William Knight is just a better fighter. That's going to be a tough one, though, man. But
that's a really tough fight. I mean, these guys are basically mirror images of one another. They're both brutes. They're extremely strong. They both got insane power. I do think Menifield is more of a polished striker and a little bit more technical on the feet, but William Knight's got some insane, quickness to him. You got a guy that's 5'10", weighing over 200 pounds, and he's able to do backflips. The way he does is insane. So, his athletic ability is just top notch. He's actually got decent offensive wrestling. His defensive wrestling needs to work, as we saw in the Dao Young fight. But I don't know, man. I think he's I think he's got some momentum behind him. In his last fight, he looked really impressive, coming forward, stalking forward. And I don't see him getting into the rut that he did against Young because Menifield's not going to go and wrestle him. So Menifield's going to give him the fight that William Knight wants, and they're just going to go in there and they're going to bang it out and see whose chin, stands up to the test. And we have a guy in Menifield whose chin got cracked by OSP. And we're not talking about prime OSP. We're talking about, okay, I think you're done fighting now, OSP. So I think William Knight as a dog is not a bad bet whatsoever, and I'm kind of sided with him as well.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Next up, we got a fight in the women's strawweight division between Mallory Martin and Cheyenne Velismas. Right now, Velismas is a minus 190 favorite, and a comeback on Martin is a plus 160 underdog. Who do you got?
Well, her name is coming a few weeks early because it's almost Mary Velismas time. Did she either marry someone else or did she divorce?
No, I think I'm gonna go with she divorced him, but I don't want to put it out there as that's confirmed. I don't know.
Because it'd be weird that all of a sudden within a short period of time she married someone else and changed her name. So,
she definitely didn't marry someone. I don't know if maybe she just got her maiden name back instead.
That's what I think it probably is. Yeah. So the Warrior Princess Velismas, Mary Velismas, girl. So let's see here. She looked good against Gloria DePaulo. She looked very good there. The 26-year-old, 5'4", 116 pounds, out of Fortis MMA now. And Mallory Martin, when was the last time you met a girl named Mallory? When was the last time anyone heard of a girl named Mallory? It was
I've never met a Mallory. Ever.
Right. The only time anyone heard of it was on Family Ties, the 80s sitcom with Michael J. Fox and his sister, played by Justine Bateman, was Mallory. That was the last time any girls. In fact, I don't think any girl born after 1970 was named Mallory, but clearly Mallory Martin in 1994, who knows? Anyway, so Mallory Martin, MM, she's the M&M of women's MMA. So she has come out here and is 1-2 in the UFC. Verna Jandarova, she lost. She came in to beat Hannah Cyphers. She was so happy. I was there for that fight. Very emotional. She's a good, really nice, nice, really genuine person. She lost to Polyana Viana by armbar, which is not a great look because Viana is not the greatest fighter in the world, although she's pretty tough. So this is a very important fight for the 27-year-old Mallory Martin, fighting on an Elevation fight team. So Elevation against Fortis. It's more. Mallory needs this fight more than Cheyenne, who's 1-1. But if Cheyenne loses, she's 1-2. No one wants to be in that bad a position. I am going to say that we're looking for Cheyenne Velismas in this fight. It's so hard to know. She's only got 8 fights, and Martin's only got 11 fights. So in this one, I would be careful. I would be looking to put a half a unit on Cheyenne Velismas. Obviously, I think the fight's going to go the distance almost for sure. But what's the money on the distance? Probably nothing. It's probably minus.
Yeah, it's going to be like minus 250.
Yeah, there's nothing. So it's a straight bet. Cheyenne, Bays, Velismas.
Yeah, I'm not betting this fight. I mean, it's the only women's MMA fight on the entire card. Yeah. So I think I'm okay with just passing on it from a betting perspective, but just breaking it down, I think Velismas definitely has the clear advantage on the feet. I do think Martin has the potential to take her down, but I don't think she's going to be able to keep her down there. I know she trains out of AKA, if I'm not mistaken. She does have some good grappling. She's got some good wrestling. But Velismas, I think she's very underrated with her grappling. I know it didn't look good against Ruiz, but I believe that was a short notice fight. and she definitely wasn't game planning against a head and arm choke for 15 minutes. Definitely wasn't in her game plan of how to even stop a head and arm throw. So, coming into this fight, I think she'll be ready to defend takedowns, traditional takedowns. Double legs, single legs, trips against the fence, and she should be able to keep this fight on the feet and just pick apart Martin at range and get the win via decision. Not a fight I really want to bet at minus 190. And like I said, only women's fight on the card. I'm staying clear of it. I'll just bet somewhere else. All right. Next up, we got a fight in the welterweight division between Jake Matthews and Jeremiah Wells. Right now, Matthews is a minus 180 favorite, and the comeback on Wells is a plus 155 underdog. Who do you got?
It's interesting because Matthews, the Celtic kid, was on a good 3-fight win streak, and was like 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, the kid's been in the UFC since 2014, and he's only 27 now. So that means he got it as a 20-year-old. That's right. Sean Brady, beat him. I think it was a pretty competitive fight, although I think Brady does what he normally does, and it's just a suffocating fighter. Yeah, so that fight, that loss is aging well because of what Brady's done to everyone. Like I like to say, you're like the Sean Brady of commentary, man. You have that great East Coast vibe and confidence. So that's this man is the Sean Brady of MMA handicapping. Anyway, so that fight you can forgive him for. Jeremiah Wells, who the hell is that? 5 foot.
He's impressive, man. If you don't know about him, he's pretty impressive.
Wow, he came in and took Worley Alves out really quick.
Yeah, he starched his ass. Like, it was impressive.
He did lose to my friend Vinicius de Jesus, who's fighting right now as we speak in Bellator.
Mind you, Jeremiah Wells actually is train. Well, I don't know about trains, but he's at the same gym as Sean Brady, and I'm not sure if Daniel Gracie will be in his corner. I would assume he will be because they both train at Renzo Gracie. But so I mean, I think they would have the same type of game plan as they did, against Jake Matthews the first time, the second time.
And the only difference is that Jeremiah Wells is not Sean Brady.
Right. Sean Brady is definitely levels above him for sure.
And Jeremiah Wells is 35 years old.
That's another thing too. Yep.
Yeah. I gotta go for the Celtic kid here. This is a tough fight. Sean Brady. I mean, not Sean Brady, but Jeremiah Wells at his age is going to fight hard. I'm not the guy that dismisses guys at that age, but it's not ideal when you're going in your second UFC fight and you're 35. And the odds makers, I think, do have it right. Not quite a 2-1, but almost 2-1. I think there's value in Jake Matthews. I think that more than likely this fight is going to go to a decision. And what are the odds on that? There might be some money on that. What is it, minus 125 or plus 1?
No, it's definitely going to be more than that. It's minus 115.
Yeah. So I like that. I like the decision prop in this fight, and then I like straight bet Celtic kid Jake Matthews. What do you think?
First initial thought, I kind of liked Jeremiah Wells at plus 155. I think there's some value there, given that he should be somewhat familiar with Matthews and what he brings to the table because Sean Brady, has fought him, and he's got Daniel Gracie in his corner. He's a Daniel Gracie, Renzo Gracie black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got, good offensive wrestling. He's a Cage Fury Fighting Championship welterweight champion. I think he was also the CES welterweight champion. So he's got some good wins on the regional scene. He came in guns blazing. I had him in that fight against Worley Alves. I think that was insanely outlined. It wasn't, insanely off. I knew Wells had the opportunity to get a win there, and he showed it. Coming into this fight, I listened that Wells is normally not in Brady's camp. They really don't train as too often with each other, and that's something kind of held me back is to going in and betting on Wells. I do think he has a chance of getting the win and causing the upset, but you know I feel like Matthews is going to come back. He's going to be better. He's been training with Jimmy Crute, who's also a jiu-jitsu black belt, good grappler. So he's been getting in some good time there with him. I do think Matthews is the much better striker on the feet. He's much more fluid. He's much more precise. Wells definitely has more power, but he's a little bit wild with his strikes. I do think Matthews will have the advantage on the feet. Wells will probably go in, try to take this fight to the mat. He probably will get some takedowns, but ultimately, Matthews should be able to get back to his feet, and just kind of outstrike him to a decision. And the thing is, Daniel Gracie is 11-0 as a coach in the UFC thus far. Brady is 6. I think Brady is 6-0.
I think 6 or 7.
And then Andre Petrosky has a couple wins, and then Jeremiah Wells as well. So
I think Brady's just 5-0.
Okay, so Brady's 5-0. So there's someone else I know I'm missing out of the bunch of. Damn, he just fought He fought 2 weeks ago. Oh man, I can't think of it. But anyways, Daniel Gracie is 11-0 as a coach in the UFC. So that's pretty damn impressive when 4 of your fighters are combined 11-0. One of them 5-0, the other one 3-0, the other one 2-0, the other one 1-0, something like that. But yeah, around like that. Very impressive. All great grapplers, all great wrestlers. They all have the same thing. Go in there, get you guys to the mat, control them, get the submission. So, there is avenue to victory there for Wells. But ultimately, I do think Matthews is a little bit levels above right now. He's beaten guys better than Wells. He's fought guys better than Wells. And Matthews is by far the best opponent that Wells has faced.
Definitely. But for the best, name Jeremiah. Thank you, Jeremiah.
All right.
We got Matthews.
All right, moving on. We have a fight in the welterweight division again between Brian Bam Bam Barberena and Darian Weeks. Right now, that fight is lined at Barberena as a -130 favorite in the comeback on Weeks as a +110 underdog. Who do you got?
Well, Weeks is a last-minute replacement. I forget who the original thing's going to be, but many people that know him say he's been waiting weeks to get into the UFC. So that's which is not that bad. Some people are waiting years, and this man's only been waiting weeks, and he gets it. Man, oh man, 5-0, and as an amateur, wow, he has a good amateur record. 5-2, 5-6-3 as an amateur. Didn't really beat anybody.
He's got a ton of amateur experience.
Sure Dog felt he was 6-3, but maybe
he's got a lot more. He's 15. He was 15-3 as an amateur.
Oh wow, okay, all right. So he comes out. He's over there Midwest, and then Cateside Promotions. Cateside Promotions again. Then he goes to another Midwest, and I don't even know the quality of any of these fighters in those leagues. Craig Fairley in the LFA. He stops him. Man, this guy's being rushed in here. 28, Sedalia, Missouri, good tough Midwestern guy.
He was supposed to fight on the Contender Series too.
All right, 5'10", 170, 28 years old, going up against the veteran, 32-year-old Brian Barberena. I think a lot of people probably thought he was older than 32. 6 foot tall, 170, out of MMA Lab. Barberena has just fought everyone. Look at the guys that he's fought. Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, Vicente Luque, Randy Brown, Jason Witt. So he lost all those guys. He did. But they were some very, very tough fights. That Luque fight was epic. And then he did beat Sage Northcutt, Worley Alves, Joe Proctor, Jake Ellenberger, Joe Ellenberger, and Anthony Ivy. Last fight against Jason Wick it was a really close fight. I would have loved to have seen Barberena get that decision, although I think I did put like $20 on Wick. But, he really could use this fight. With the way people have been getting cut, I fear that Bam Bam would get cut off of a loss here. And so I would say Bam Bam should be favored, and he is, I think. Where is it? Just slightly. Wow. I'm all over Barberena. I think Barberena smokes him.
I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Weeks is no slouch. This guy, he's got a plethora of experience. I know, he's only 5-0 as a pro, but he's 15-3 as an amateur. He's only been a pro for 3 years now. Actually 2 years, ever since early 2019. So he's got five fights since then. So he's been pretty active. He's gotten 2 boxing matches as well. The dude's pretty built. He's got some good power. I believe 4 of his wins have come by knockout, another by submission. So he's in there. He gets the job done. He gets finishes, but he's going against a guy that's been there, done that. He's faced the who's who in the welterweight division. He's a 23-fight veteran, and he's coming up and he's facing a guy like that on short notice. It's a tall task, and the guy is he's hard to put away. The last time he's been put away is because he absorbed like 200-300 strikes over a 3-round fight. It took so much to get him out of there, and something like that is kind of discouraging for a new UFC fighter coming in, that you're hitting this guy with everything you got for over 10 minutes and this guy is still not put away. That could really be demoralizing for him, and really could give Barberena the confidence to just keep walking forward and putting it on him. And looking at the line, I thought it was kind of odd because I don't think Weeks is a top prospect to be given a short notice fight that's probably three days out, and giving him such a a close line. I know Barberena isn't a world beater, but he's still a UFC fighter. He's been in there against the best of the best. So yeah, but I got Bam winning this fight though, and I got the fight going to the distance. I got the fight going to the distance. I think it's plus 130.
Yeah, absolutely. Bam Bam Barberena all the way, right?
Yeah, Barberena all the way.
Love it.
All right. Next up, we got a fight in the flyweight division between Zhalgas Zhumagulov and Manal Kopp. Right now, the line set at Kopp is a minus 305 favorite, and the comeback on Zhumagulov is a plus 240 underdog. Who do you got?
Interesting fight. Another man, Kazakhstan, 5'4", 125 pounds. And 33 years old with a record of 14-5, but a record of 1-2 in the UFC, losing to Julian Paiva and Amir Albazi, beating Jerome Rivera in his last fight. Amir Albazi, oh wow, he's a really tough dude. So they really kind of threw him to the dogs in his first 2 fights against Paiva and Albazi, and then he did beat a somewhat tough guy in Jerome Rivera, the Renegade. Wow. Okay, so 33 years old. Okay. Then we have Manal Kopp, the 28-year-old. He had a couple losses. He came in there and copped the win on O'Day Osborne. You know what I mean? If we could use his name in a proper sentence. That was a flying knee. He had lost to Matthias Nicolau and Alexander Pantoja. Having again, both guys were thrown to the wolves here. I'm gonna go Zhumagulov here in the upset. I don't have a lot of confidence in it. I probably think like literally half a unit, a quarter of a unit. I don't really like this fight very much. I know on paper it should be top, but I don't want to lay chalk on Cop like that. I'm not 100% convinced of him yet. And I think Zamagulov can make this a tough and a gritty fight. He could very well win it.
Yeah, I think this could be, all action fight. These two guys will come forward. They'll throw a ton of, volume and combinations together. I do think Cop is the better all around fighter. He's definitely got much more power, and it pretty much just boils down to him whether he's gonna be like he fought in his last fight, or he's going to be like he fought in the first two fights that he came to UFC, just not throwing.
Someone's got to feel the power.
Yeah, someone's got to feel that power, and I think Sumakulov is going to feel the power of Cop here. I think he's going to come in there like he did in his last fight, and just throw caution to the wind. Finally, throw some combinations out there, and he's got the power. You've seen in his last fight against Ode Osborne that he could put anybody away, and I do think he could put away Zumagulov here and really put his name on the map because he came in as one of the top prospects. We forget that this man was the alternate, in the flyweight matchup between Brandon Moreno and Davidson Figueiredo. He weighed in, ready to go if something fell out. So that's how much confidence the UFC has in him, and he only lost two really close fights in his first two fights, and then he came back guns blazing and just starched Ode Osborne. I kind of see the same here against Zumagulov. I got Manel Cop a little bit earlier about minus 275. I parlayed him, with somebody else that I'll mention in a bit. But yeah, I got Cop winning. He should get it done. He should get on a 2-fight win streak right here. All right, next up, we got a fight in the 185-pound division, the middleweight division, between Maki Pitolo and Dushko Todorovic. Right now, the line is set at minus 165 for Todorovic, and Pitolo's a plus 145 underdog. What do you got?
Gotcha. So Dushko's back is against the wall. Although, let me ask you this, Garrett. A lot of fighters are being signed to a 3-fight UFC contract. He's had 3 fights, 1 win and 2 losses. The 2 losses were his last 2 fights. Still, though, that would imply that he's on a new contract now.
Yeah.
Although it may not be another 3. I mean, it's hard to say. Anyway, though, either way, he's not in a good position here. He beat DuPont Townsend, got stopped by Puna Soriano, and then lost to Gregory Rodriguez. Rodriguez is...
But to his fault, Rodriguez and Puna are fucking powerhouses.
Yeah, they are. They really are. Yeah, very tough guys. So Dushko has still got some possibilities. His best against the wall if he really wants to win. 6'1", 187, 27 years old, out of Belgrade, Serbia. Maki Pitolo, the Hawaiian, he has more UFC experience than that. Not a lot, though. Joined the UFC in 2019, 2 years ago, and he is 1-4 in the UFC. Lost to Callan Powder, came back and beat Charles Bird, lost to Darren Stewart, Impa Kasangane, and Julian Marquez, 2 of them by sub. Both of these dudes' backs are against the wall. They're going to fight hard, man. They are going to fight hard. Pitolo is the older fighter at 31 out of West Oahu. Man, I don't know. I think that that Pitolo is going to take his pit and turn Dushko into a douche in this fight. And I think the Hawaiian pulls off the win as an underdog. I like Maki Pitolo. Although, again, maybe happen.
Man, with Maki, I don't think he should be in the UFC. Let's be honest. You look back to his Contender Series fight. He fought Justin Sumter, and he was up. They were up against the cage, and he hit him with a little shot to the ribs, and that was it. I mean, that was the fight. A little body shot, and then He fell, and that was it. It was called. We were like, what? And then his only win was against Charles Byrd, and he was losing that fight until Byrd gassed, and then he beat him up. So in reality, this man should be 0-5 in the UFC.
I hate to hear about people beating up birds. Birds are very gentle creatures. Won't beat up birds.
And then if we look at the skill sets here, Maki Pitolo, yeah, he's got some power in his hands, but he's only got one knockout in his last 6 fights, and it was against an aging Charles Byrd, who was, I think, 38 at the time, and then he retired shortly thereafter. And then you got Dushko, who's actually a pretty decent, kickboxer. I know he got flatlined by Soriano, but a lot of people do. He went up against a massive powerhouse in Gregory Rodriguez, so no fault there. I think Soriano and Rodriguez would have beaten Maki Pitolo as well. So you also have to think that Pitolo's kind of small for the division too. I know he's 5'10", but he was fighting at 155 at one point, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Pitolo's going to go in for takedowns. I do think he might land a couple because Todorovich's takedown defense is not the best. But I do think he should be able to get back up, as Pitolo is not a D1 wrestler. He's not a grinder. He's not able to keep you down on the mat. And I think Dushko should be able to, keep him at bay, use his kicks, use his length, and just really work him on the feet. And maybe he could possibly put him away. He's got some good striking. He's got some unorthodox, attacks, and he could probably counter him as he's coming forward. So yeah, I got Todorovic winning, -155, and not a bad line there.
No, we're on the opposite end of there. I got bombs, Maki Pitolo.
Cooking the bombs, Maki Pitolo.
Let's see who wins. Let's see if the coconut starches the douche or the douche starches the coconut. Douche stuff.
All right. Moving on, we have the first fight on the main card is in the welterweight division between Alex Morono and Mickey Gall. Right now, Morono is a -250 favorite, and the comeback on Gall is a +200 underdog. Who do you got?
Alex Morono is a guy I like a lot. We've had him on the show several times over the years, fighting over there out of Fortis MMA, and he owns his own branch of Gracie Baja at Gracie Baja, the Woodlands. He's a really good dude. I really think there's something to guys that are learning by teaching or by doing commentary. It just helps that much more to be really good at what you're doing. Alex, the great weight Morono, is a double tough dude. Another guy just like himself, 31, right in his prime. And he's 5'11", 170. A really smart dude. He's a really interesting combination of the way that his personality is he's a really good communicator, a really smart guy, I'm sure a really good teacher, and then in the cage he's just like a relentless pressure fighter. He's a double tough dude. He's not afraid. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He likes to strike. He's got some wrestling. His only hiccups were getting caught really quick against Chaos Williams and then losing a fight against Anthony Pettis, where I think he went into that maybe a little bit feeling a little bit intimidated or, not having the strategy, not being ready yet for that fight. But he's looked really good in his last few fights. He's got a very good winning record in the UFC. Wow, he's been in the UFC since 2016. I think he's up like 10-3 or something like that in the UFC. Really good record of 20-7. And I think a solid fighter. I believe he is in the top 20, and I think he possibly should be even top 15 maybe. But anyway, let's look at Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall is a 29-year-old, 6'2", 170, taller fighter, always is. He was known for coming in and beating and submitting Sage Northcutt. He's been in the UFC since 2016. This guy came in the UFC with one pro fight.
and he beat someone named Phil Brooks, Mike Jackson.
CM Punk.
See, that's right. Phil Brooks and CM Punk. That's right. He was the guy they brought in to beat CM Punk, and then he asked for Sage Gordon Northcutt next and beat him. However, neither of those fights has aged very well. So, lost to Randy Brown, beat George Sullivan, lost to kind of really an end of his rope, Diego Sanchez, that looked bad doing it, beat Salim Tushri.
Salim Chuhari, I think.
Chuhari, yeah, that's right. Grizzly out of Poland. Lost to Mike Perry and then just beat the Monkey King. No, it isn't Jordan Williams, not a Monkey King. Bowman. He beat Jordan Williams, and that win hasn't aged well either. None of his wins have aged well. This is, I'm not putting Mickey Gall down. He seems to be getting a little bit better each fight, but if anyone thinks Mickey Gall is beating my guy, Morono, then I got a bridge in, New York to sell you. You know what I mean? It's not happening. Alex Morono all day. And I think that the fight could end earlier than people think. I think I would go under. Is it 1.5 or 2.5?
Let me see. The over/under is 2.5 at +138. Wow.
Plus 138 for over or
for under? I like that.
Yes, I do too. Under 2.5, but I feel even more strong than Morono. But there's not a lot of money to be made. The line is as it should be, -230, -240. I think it's going to get even bigger. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex is -300. Gall's going to make it a tough fight, but you're not beating Alex Morono at this point in his career if you're coming on the skill set of Mickey Gall. In fact, I would say there's a lot of gall for Mickey to think that he's going to beat the great white Alex Morono, right? Right. We don't have that kind of gall, but that's why his last name is Gall. So he's got a lot of gall, and it's going to look like that when he's got the brakes beat off him by Alex Morono. And you can look for very possibly Alex Morono on the MMA Power Hour next week to talk about his victory.
Nice.
100% set, but 99% is going to talk to him.
I love it.
Yeah, hopefully, one doesn't have stitches and other misery, which
awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. So, yeah, that's my thought. And I think you're not going to have the gall to pick Mickey, are you?
Definitely not. No, I'm not taking the 7-3. Mickey Gall. I know he looked good in his last fight against Jordan Williams. But Jordan Williams is not Alex Morono. Morono's been in there with some legit competition. He just beat the brakes off of. I know it's an older Donald Cerrone, but I still think that Donald Cerrone would have beat Mickey Gall. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Morono is the much better striker between the two. And Morono's never been submitted because he is a jiu-jitsu black belt himself. So I don't know where Mickey Gall is going to win this fight. Maybe he can win by just, holding him on the mat, keeping him on the mat, and kind of grinding it out. But I just don't see that happening either. So, I don't really have much to say other than Morono should win this fight. He should not lose to a guy who's 7-3. His claim to fame is beating Sage Northcutt and CM Punk. Other than that, he's got no really noteworthy wins. So, yeah, I got Alex Morono all day here, and he should definitely win. I don't like -250 as a price tag, but he gets it done regardless.
Yep.
All right, next up, we got a fight in the middleweight division between Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis. Right now, the line is set at Brendan Allen is a -365 favorite, and the comeback on Chris Curtis is a +280 underdog. Who do you got?
So this is another fight that seems pretty clear to me, although it's an unusual fight. We got a much taller and lengthier wrestler against a shorter and thicker and older striker. Curtis is on a killing streak, but only one of it is in the UFC. Wow, almost every fight he's stopping his opponent. A lot of stoppages. The man's 27-8, 35 fights, and has 16 stoppages, which is pretty good for MMA. The action man, he beat Phil Hawes, but I don't know what happened with Hawes in that fight. It's just from the get-go, it looks like Hawes couldn't get, on track or untracked, as they say. But Brendan Allen, I think, is just going to be too good. I mean, I tell you what, if Curtis pulls this off and starches Brendan Allen, then I'll be a believer. I will. But as of right now, I'm not. I think Brendan Allen all day in this fight. And I think that there's no money to be made on it except for maybe Brendan Allen by sub. You can tell me what the prop is on that.
Let's see. Brendan Allen by sub. Plus 180.
Yeah, I like that. So I'd throw some money in Brendan Allen by submission. But I think Brendan Allen all day. I pick him. So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis obviously taking this fight on short notice. That's just what he does. Normally a career welterweight, moving up, to face, Phil Hawes in his most recent fight, which was very impressive. Now taking on Brendan, they renew Brendan Allen because this dude has looked sensational. The way he fought against Puna Soriano shows that I do think he could take a punch against Chris Curtis. I mean, he took some heavy shots from Soriano, and I do think he could take the power of Chris Curtis. And Allen definitely has the much better grappling. He's got the much better submission game. His striking has looked so much better since coming down to Sanford MMA, training with Henry Hooft. So he just looks like a brand new fighter. And, he beat Soriano in his own game. He beat Soriano in striking. Everybody thought he was going to go in there and, try to take it to the mat so he doesn't get knocked out. But he showed he can take a punch. He showed that he can hang in there with guys that are, much more powerful than him. And he shows he can outstrike them. He's got his kicking game down pat now, and he's just looking like he's firing on all cylinders. And from what I've heard, he really wanted this fight against Chris Curtis so that it could possibly set up a future fight with Sean Strickland. Not right now, because I know Sean Strickland has a fight against Jack Hermanson coming up, which is a great fight, I think in February, if I'm not mistaken. Looking forward to that. But I know Brendan Allen wants to talk some shit to Sean Strickland, get in his head, and hopefully they can square off, at some point in the future. So, he really wants to get a win here and beat Sean Strickland's buddy and beat Sean Strickland's, training partner. So I know he's got a little extra motivation there. So I'm all in on Brendan Allen in this one.
That's it. I love it. That's my line. You use one of those dad jokes. I love it. All in, man. It's him, Brendan All In Allen. I interviewed him about 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago. You guys can look at the archives on Fight TV or Facebook and possibly YouTube for that Brendan Allen interview in depth.
In-depth.
We went all in on Brendan. In that,
We went all in on Brendan Allen. All right. Moving on. We have a fight in the lightweight division between two aging UFC veterans in Clay Guida and Leonardo Santos. Right now, Santos is a minus 190 favorite in the comeback on Guida as a plus 160 underdog. Who do you got?
Let me ask you this. Does anyone other than Clay Guida have 21 losses in the UFC?
No, definitely not.
For sure. And the funny thing is, all but about 5 of them or 6 of them were in the UFC. So, but he's got a ton of wins also. He's 36-21. Looking at him recently, 39 years old, and he's an old 39, but he's a physical specimen, a workout machine, double tough. He's over at Team Alpha Male, the Carpenter out of Round Lake, Illinois. Let's look at last few years here. He did Yet he did have a couple good wins in 17 against Eric Koch or Koch, and Joe Lazon did get subbed by Charles Oliveira, but there's no shame in that. That aged very, very well. BJ Penn he beat, did get subbed by Jim Miller, no shame in that. Did lose to Bobby Green, that's aging well. Did beat Michael Johnson in a fight that I think I bet 4 units against him. I'm still kind of pissed off at that. No, and Johnson was the favorite, like minus 190, and I'm like, this is great. This is
Yeah, you always say Michael Johnson, unfortunately.
You're right, exactly. And then Marco Madsen, he was really close.
That was impressive.
Right. And we interviewed Mark also about 2.5 years ago. Good dude. I remember I went to a UFC about right about then, almost 3 years ago, and that was before this pandemic where they closed gyms, and so I was still in really good shape, and I was excited. I'm like, I got my suit on, I'm looking sharp, and then I see Mark Madsen standing there like in a tailored suit, and I'm like, man, how do I look this shitty? I thought I was in really good shape. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? Something sucks here. Like there you have an Olympian and a professional athlete in a tailored suit. So I guess I shouldn't feel that bad that I look like crap standing next to him. But he's a good dude. I like him. The Danish people are pretty cool. Anyway, damn. So Guida back at it, and he's got Leonardo Santos, the 41-year-old Brazilian, 2 years older than Guida, but a lot less miles on him. 18-4-1. The guy was on a killing streak, had not lost in 12 years until he lost earlier this year against Grant Dawson, and Grant Dawson is a killer. So that one can be forgiven, and he was in it. He was banging. What did they stop that fight with 1 second left?
Oh, he absolutely he murdered Santos.
He did.
It was bad. I was bad.
But Clay Guido is not a 25-year-old
right.
Grant Dawson.
Right.
27-year-old Grant Dawson. This is such a weird fight. I mean, and then they got, what do they got? Santos, a big favorite here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the styles, Clay has been subbed a lot, and the Brazilian likes to sub people, but he hasn't subbed anyone in his last 5 fights. And then he subbed people before that. This fight sucks. I just, I don't know. I don't like the idea of betting this fight. This is a Mountain Dew and caramel corn, I think. Fight.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm definitely not betting this fight. This is a fight that I do not want to bet on a 41-year-old, nor do I want to bet on a 39-year-old. I'm good with just passing on this fight completely.
Yeah.
But as far as if I'm looking at a side, I would probably have to go with Clay Guida just because the value at plus 160. I think he's in much better shape between Santos and himself. I do think he's going to be more active on the feet. I do think he's going to be the quicker of the two. It really boils down to, can he take a punch from Santos? And if somehow he gets underneath Santos, can he get back up? But
I'd like to see. I'd love to see Carpenter win. If the Carpenter loses at some point, they might feel like cutting him. Although I know loyalty is loyalty, like we talked about. You would hope that Dana White has put down a stamp on his ledger somewhere that says "Do not cut, no matter what." And I would hope they're never going to cut this man. But if there's no, if he doesn't have a hallway pass like that, then it could be close to being cut.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like I said, I would not bet that fight. That's just screams. Just bet something else after this.
Yeah.
No. All right, moving on. We got a fight in the light heavyweight division between Jimmy Crute and Jamal Hill. Right now, Crute's a minus 170 favorite, and the comeback on Hill is a plus 150 underdog. You got this one.
So at 25 years old, this explains some of what's going on with Crute. He's just not that mature a man yet. He doesn't even have his full man strength. 25 years old. Although, imagine when he does have his full man strength. It's going to be scary because the guy's like a man-child right now, and when he was 21 even. He's been in the UFC, yes, since he was 21 or 22. 6'2", 205. He's a beast. He's got a powerful punch. His jiu-jitsu is good, so let's just examine some of his wins. He's from Australia, training there with some good people, Jake Matthews and other people. Came out there as a killer. Came into the UFC. He looked great in the contender series. He came in and subbed Paul Craig. That says something. That's aging very well. He stopped Sam Alvey, which is okay, pretty good. He did get caught in the rarely seen Peruvian necktie I mentioned earlier in the show.
He was winning that fight too up until that point.
Yeah. He did beat Michael Oleksiejczuk, and that's aging well. Oleksiejczuk's a tough dude coming off a couple of really good wins. He did beat Modestas Bukauskas, who's no longer in the promotion, and then he did just get taken apart by Anthony Smith. That was kind of ugly, I think. So also coming off a loss is my boy Jamal Hill, fighting out of Detroit. I think he's originally from Chicago, but he's proud to represent Detroit. Really tough dude. He was on a really, really good streak here. In fact, he was undefeated, 8-0 going into the Paul Craig fight on the ground. He proved to not have a lot at all. And but then again, Paul Craig's on a killing streak. So both guys want to get back on the winning path. Sweet Dreams is 30, Cruz is 25. I'm cheering for Jamal because he's been on the show a couple times. He's a really tough dude. I just don't have a really good feeling about it, though. I don't know. I mean, I don't like to bet on guys under 26 years old. I just don't. I know that everyone else and a lot of the younger guys your age and younger have the opposite standpoint where they're looking at not wanting to bet at someone higher than a certain age. But I think I'm one of the few guys I don't want to bet on people under a certain age. So I just, but I don't know. I mean, Cruz, it's a real mental game. And when you're 25, because the Serkinov loss was looking really good when he surrounded it by some more wins. And I think he was able to say, okay, I got caught by Serkinov. Serkinov's not even that good. And I got caught by him, but that was just a hiccup. But now then to get dismantled 6 months ago, by Smith, I don't know. I want Cruz to win, but I'm paper Jimmy. Sorry, I want Hill to win, but on paper I think Cruz wins the fight. So I would bet on Cruz. But I will say this: I don't think this fight is going to distance. What are the odds? For an under 2.5? Or is it?
I think it's at 1.5.
At 1.5,
and it's minus 120.
I can't.
So basically, it's a pick'em.
I have a feeling it's gonna not go the. Is there anything on the fight not going the distance?
Oh yeah, it's minus 350.
Yeah, I would bet Cruz, but I would only bet maybe a half a unit. Cruz should win. I hope I'm wrong.
This is a great matchup. Cruz shown that he could do it all. He's got some good stand up. He's got good power. He's got really good grappling. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Jamal Hill on the hand, very tall, very lanky for the division. Got insane power, insane range in his strikes. Showing that he is susceptible to getting submitted, as Paul Craig was able to submit him and rip his arm out of his socket. This would be his first fight, after getting, his arm ripped off.
Right, and they give him a submission guy, and they give him a guy that can sub him.
Yeah, I know. And then he's got another guy that could possibly sub him. So, it is possible that Cruz just comes in and, takes him down and submits him. It's definitely a high probability, but something tells me that, Hill is able to, catch him coming in and really put him down. I don't know why. is just a hunch, a gut feeling. But on paper, Crute should win this fight. He's got the all-around better skill set. He's got the grappling to make this look easy. And if he does that, he probably could get it done early and by submission or ground and pound. But like I said, I have this feeling that Hill's power is going to make up for his lack of defensive wrestling and defensive submission game, and kind of put it to him and take him out of there. All right, so we're up to our co-main event of the evening. In the lightweight division, we got a banger of a fight between two former training partners. One was the coach of the other in a fight between Brad Riddell and Rafael Fiziev. What a fight. Right now, Fiziev is a minus 120 favorite in the comeback on Riddell is a plus 100 underdog. What do you got in this one?
Before I say that, I want to say congratulations to Kai Kamaka III winning in Bellator tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, very happy for him. He should never have come to the UFC. He won his last fight. But anyway, yeah, Kai Kamaka is back on the winning track, and I'm really happy for him. We've interviewed him a couple times. This fight coming up here is my best value bet for the night. Probably overall best bet for the night. I'm so on Brad Riddell. Every time Brad Riddell fights, I bet on him and I win. And let me ask you this: if Brad Riddell were to fight Bobby Green, who would win that fight?
Brad Riddell.
Right. Fiziev struggled with Green. He beat him, but he struggled with him.
He struggled with him late because he went balls out in the first round and a half.
But still, I get that. I appreciate that. I'm not going to diminish that, or discredit that. But I just think Brad Riddell beats the brakes off of Bobby Green. And so I like Brad Riddell. Something in this kid Riddell, he's just tough. He's just tough as nails. Interesting prospect though, with him being the teacher. And he's only 30 years old, and Fiziev is only 28 years old. So only 2 years age difference. But in all honesty, man, if you're teaching someone, unless somehow they're way better than you, you do kind of have a little bit of that advantage. Now, if Riddell was 35 now and Fiziev was 28, maybe a little different. But at 30, they're both in their prime. I mean, essentially, I think Brad Riddell can big brother him. I'm not putting down Fiziev, but level of competition also. I got 10 units on Brad Riddell. 10 units. Biggest bet of the year.
Damn.
Pretty much a lot. Brad Riddell wins this fight all day, every day. If they fight 100 times, Brad Riddell wins it 100 times.
That's impressive. So you're giving Fiziev not a chance to win this fight?
0 chance.
Damn. But they're literally the same fighter.
Pretty close. I think they're the same fighter. I just think Riddell is better everywhere. I just think Riddell is a little bit better everywhere. Brad Riddell's for real. Brad Riddell is for real. And Fiziev, I'm going to say this. To me, Fiziev is a low-key good fighter. That's my thing.
It's a fight that I just want to sit back, grab myself some popcorn, and watch it all unfold because it's going to be an absolute delight for UFC fans. Unfortunately, they have to fight each other sooner than we would hope, and unfortunately, it's on a fight card instead of a pay-per-view. I don't know why. It is what it is, but it's gonna be a banger, and I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be back and forth the entire fight. These guys are insane counter punchers. They'll throw one, the other one will come back with another. It's gonna be tick for tat the entire time. One's gonna throw one, the other one's gonna come back firing, back and forth. Pretty much until, the final bell, because I do think it's going to go to distance. And like you said, I do think Riddell is going to big brother Fiziev We've seen Fiziev tend to fade toward the later parts of fights, and I feel like the same thing is going to happen here. I do think Riddell is going to take over later and get the win via decision. But man, it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be a sweat no matter who you bet on, and I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight. It is. I just think it's going to be clear. I think it's going to be 30-27 on all of them. But I think there's going to be some good action. I think there is going to be some good action. But I think this is going to be the fight that's going to teach odds makers don't make Brad Riddell a dog unless you're putting him up against someone in the top 5.
Right. And last but not least, we're up to our main event of the evening. We got a fight in the bantamweight division between UFC legend Jose Aldo and Rob Font. Right now, Rob Font, the surging contender Rob Font, is a minus 155 favorite. And to come back on Aldo, it's a plus 135 underdog. What you got?
Did Font once upon a time fight at flyweight, or am I wrong?
No, he's not.
At
least I don't think so.
Okay. So Rob Font, 34 years old. As we said in the MMA Power Hour, it brings up the question which font is going to be used on screen to describe him and Jose Aldo. Some people, I think, on our show, we picked Impact, Comic Sans, Times New Roman. But that's the question. When you're talking about font, you got to ask which font is used, because that's important. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people wouldn't have said that because a font meant nothing. And now a font is something, although it's becoming nothing. But anyway, look at this. Let's see where the font did here. The font, he came into the UFC 7 years ago at the age of 27. He did have a hiccup against John Lineker, no shame there, that aged well. A hiccup against Pedro Munoz, no shame there. A hiccup against the prime Rafael Assunção in 2018. Otherwise, he is perfect in the UFC, beating George Roop, who was tough back in the day, Joey Gomez, Matt Schnell, who's a tough guy, Douglas Silva de Andrade, a tough guy, Thomas Alameda, who was a very tough guy, Sergio Pettis, the champ, who's fighting tonight, Ricky Simone beat Marlon Moraes and Cody Garbrandt. Those are some really good wins. Although you don't even have to go down the list. He's beaten and fought everyone there is to fight. I think they're both 34 years old. No, 35 for Jose Aldo. Aldo, a lot more miles on him, though. 5'7", 5'8" for Font. What team does Font fight out
of? The New England Cartel with Tyson Chartier in
that's right.
In Boston, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, I had Tyson on the show and a couple, one or two of these guys, I think. So out of Boston, East Coast guy, and let me see one last thing here. All right, and it's 34, just turned 34, the end of June. Jose Aldo Jr., 35 as of August. I was leaning Font, and then I asked Benil Dariush his opinion, and his prediction is Aldo in a tough fight. I don't think he minds me putting this out there. I hope not. If so, forgive me, Benil. But damn, he knows his stuff. I think he said the experience. I think he said just not quite sure.
Well, I mean, experience. I mean, let's not act like Rob Font doesn't have experience.
No, but the experience of Jose Aldo, who is more experienced than Aldo? So, damn. I mean, this fight will create the next contender, I think, for Piotr Jan.
If Jose Aldo wins, it doesn't matter. He's not getting a title shot.
He's not going to get it. Right.
No, he'll have to go against T.J. Dillashaw. Then Dillashaw will beat him.
Yeah. Damn. Just he looks so good against Marlon Vera against Pedro Munoz.
Did he really look? I don't even think he looked good against Vera though. He didn't.
And then Font lost to Munoz, but that was 4 years ago.
And by guillotine choke.
Right.
He went for a takedown. Rob Font went for a takedown for no reason.
Yeah, that's true. This is such a tough one, man. I don't know. You're right. This is such a tough one to call. I don't know. I guess I'm leaning Font. But I'm scared now. Benil Darius feels all.
Oh man, I have friends and fighters too. Okay, and I take what they say into consideration. But at the end of the day, we know as much as they do.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And not only that, but I think a lot of fighters respect Jose so much they want him to.
Right. No, I think every fighter on the roster respects Jose Aldo. I mean,
and you probably want, so yeah, it's going to be a hell of a fight though, because I tell you what, if Jose barely gets by and beats Font, you're probably right. They're not going to let him. But if he starches him, man, if he can knock him cold or something like that, then it's going to be hard to deny him a possibility of a Jan or a winner of Jan Aljo, especially if Aljo beats Jan, which I think he will. Then it could be Aljo versus Aldo, which is interesting name-wise. But this is gonna be a really good fight, though. I think that is there an over 3.5? What's the money on?
It's actually over 4.5.
That's all.
Yeah.
They don't have.
Because most of them are most of them are just going to give you the 4.5. They're not going to give you every single round.
Okay, what's the over 4.5 though? Plus
it minus 150, minus 162.
Really?
Yeah. I expect it to go the distance as well.
Yep. All right. So, what do you think? Sounds like you're leaning Font.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty confident in Font and his abilities. He's been on a killer winning streak. He looked great against Cody Garbrandt. I know it's Cody Garbrandt, but he did look really good. Jose Aldo, he's super tough. He looked great in his last fight against Pedro Munoz, but Pedro Munoz is the perfect fight for Aldo. He stands there right in front of your face and just lets you counter him all day long because Munoz loves to brawl. Font, on the other hand, has movement in his striking. He at least is able to move in and out of the pocket. He's not going to stand there and let Jose Aldo just tee off on his body, tee off on his legs, and just hit him with everything he's got. I know it's going to be dicey in the first couple rounds. Aldo's going to throw some heavy shots, heavy leg kicks, heavy body work in the first 2 rounds. But after those 2 rounds, there's a steep decline in Jose Aldo, and we've seen it time and time again. Once it hits rounds 3, 4, and 5, he's a completely different fighter. We saw in the Vera fight, he was getting teed off on in the second round against Vera. He had to backpack him. You're talking about Jose Aldo, who never goes for takedowns, had to take down Vera and hold him on the mat for entirety of the 3rd round in order for him to get that win. You have a guy in Rob Font who does have good takedown defense. He's good at getting back to his feet. And Rob Font has insane cardio. He's got insane volume. He's got crazy volume advantage in this fight alone. I think he's throwing upwards of like 13 strikes a minute, which is crazy. And in the first ever championship rounds of his career, he threw 178 strikes against Cody Garbrandt in rounds 4 and 5. Okay, and he landed 98 strikes of those 178. So, and that's double the amount of the first 2 fights, the first 3 rounds in that fight. So, he's got a clear advantage the later this fight goes. Clear advantage. And Jose Aldo, you look at his volume, it's not been good at all. He's only thrown 200 strikes in the last 7 years in one single fight. He's only landed 100 strikes in a single fight once in the last 7 years. So you see the clear advantage in the volume. It just boils down to whether or not he's able to keep the fight at distance and not get hurt by Aldo early on. But yeah, I got Font here all day. I think he's a surging contender. He gets this win. It's the biggest win of his career. He moves on. He takes on T.J. Dillashaw for the number one contender spot, and he'll fight the winner of Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan whenever that happens, if he does beat T.J. Dillashaw. But the next fight after this is the number one contender spot against Dillashaw, or he gets a title shot if Dillashaw is not ready. Because the man's been on a crazy winning streak. He deserves it. And he's going to show everybody that he is the next contender at 135 pounds.
Could very well be. I think it's going to be an exciting fight, and I think Font is going to be rocking, man. He's going to go in there and do everything he can, but so is Jose Aldo. It's going to be exciting, I think.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. If Aldo loses and gets beat down, this may be the last fight for him. So. It's going to be interesting to see.
If he gets beaten down bad, maybe. But if it's just like a hard fought fight that goes a distance, I think we'll see more from him still.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see though. It's going to be an exciting card. A lot of tough fights to call. But I think I think we were against each other on several fights here. But we were together on several as well. So I think I think there's a good chance we'll both do well as we usually do, and people get our advice here and and our insight, and it really, we've still got a great combined record of all of our episodes. We're probably at a 75% win clip, give or take, and they say for sports gambling 60% is pretty good.
So, absolutely, we're gonna be killing it, and we're gonna keep on killing it this weekend.
Yeah, we are.
We're already cashing bets on Bellator right now as we are going live, and we're gonna continue cashing the rest of the night for Bellator 272. I'm looking forward to that. Sergio Pettis against Kyoji Horiguchi. I'm looking forward to that. I got a bet on Sergio Pettis at plus 160. I couldn't help myself. I had a bet on it. I was leaning Horiguchi at the beginning, but then I'm like, man, Pettis he's coming into his prime right now. He's the best he's ever looked, and I'm riding the momentum. And I'm riding all the way to the bank and cashing out.
On Horiguchi, then.
No, I'm Pettis on plus 160.
Good. I'm glad you said that because I like Pettis too. I like Pettis too on that. He's a good dude. Sergio's a good dude. I interviewed him in person before I think his title fight in Bellator, either that or the fight before, I forget which. But it was in Los Angeles. But yeah, I like Sergio Pettis here, man. When all is said and done, Sergio may turn out to be the more talented brother, although Anthony in his prime was amazing. But yeah, Sergio Pettis, man, all the way. And I know after those fights end, you are not only going yourself, but you're taking your wife and daughter to swim in the Everglades.
Oh yeah, yep.
For a nighttime swim for a half hour.
Yep, a little nighttime swimming in the Everglades over here in South Florida, right?
That's amazing. I tell you what, you are the only guy. You're talking about courage, and your wife and daughter, which these are women with courage, and you're a man with courage. So it's a perfect scenario. Made in heaven. Matches made in heaven when you guys are all brave like that, man. I'll tell you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So that's what we got for you guys for this week's breakdown. UFC Vegas 44, Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Looking forward to it. But before we go, my man, Mr. Colin Crandall, where everybody can find you at.
Well, you got to look for the MMA Power Hour. And we are on Fight TV every week for almost 5 years now with very few breaks. I think the most time we've had off is 4 weeks out of a year. So we've been putting up content like crazy, and it's FITE.tv. Check us out there. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no tricks. There's no catch. There's no hook. Go to fight.tv on your desktop or laptop, or download the app. Either way is fine. Obviously, if you wanted to order a pay-per-view event, that you pay for. But otherwise, they've got some really good free programming, including us, and our archive shows are up there. We also go live on the Hannibal TV on YouTube. He's got over 300,000 subscribers, and he'll sometimes chop up our show into different segments, as well as put the whole show on YouTube, also on Adam D. Rorta. I am putting them up there, and then you can always look on Facebook and see them on my page, Colin, Crandall, and the MMA Power Hour Facebook page. Super active, and we really appreciate it. We're in a new studio the last 2 weeks with a really good look. I know Garrett agrees, and I really appreciate that. And we're going to start having guests live in person in studio early into the new year, so don't miss it. And we appreciate it. Always love working with you, Garrett, this weekly or even bi-weekly, whenever we can do it. Look for it. I love doing the breakdown with you, man. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on every week with us, breaking down these fights, putting the money for everybody's pockets. And guys, you know where to find me. Fight Analyst LLC on Twitter, the Fight Analyst LLC on Instagram, and the Fight Analyst on Facebook. And guys, head over to thefightanalyst.com. Get my package today. We're making a ton of money. So let's get this money, and we'll see you all cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time, you guys have a great night.
Peace.